Hey you guys! So for my newest kit, I started with the paper. So I was totally inspired by the paper and I was in love with it. It's brand new. It's by Bo Bunny. It's called Garden Girl. And you can get an idea for the color palette here. It's like pinks and oranges and greens, and it's really like vibrant and pretty. But it has a twist on it, which at first I thought it was like an Art Deco twist because of the patterns, but it's actually like an Art Nouveau twist, which is really exciting because like Tiffany lamps, that's like an Art Nouveau thing, which is why I wanted to make a little butterfly lantern, which is part of this kit. And but I also wanted to stay within the garden theme, so we've got the watering can and the other gardeny looking elements. Now this is different paper. I just made this as a test when I was figuring out how this album was going to work. So this is really cute. I made this for my mom, and this one's actually out of DCWV Mariposa paper, but it's really fun and I think she's gonna love it. I just put some pictures in here from when we went to some garden stores and we went on a garden walk together for Mother's Day, and you can see here's a cabbage that I grew and my cat. So it's really fun, and that will be really fun to make for someone. So I decided that I wanted to make some kind of a lantern, like a stained glass Tiffany style lantern as part of this kit. And I knew that I wanted to work with some vellum, but I got a little nervous because I haven't really seen a lot of different colors of vellum at the craft store. So I actually went on a little, I did get lucky. I found my vellum, but I did not have to buy it online, although I've seen it online. So if you wanted to look there, you can. But I found the best selection at Michael's, actually. There were like 6 different colors of vellum, and at Archivers they mostly had white at Archivers, but they also had a couple of other colors. So Joann's didn't have really any vellum at all, at least mine didn't. That's what I was able to find when I went to my local stores. So all 3 of these items are super easy to put together. The card I'm not even going to show you because it's really easy, and I'm just going to show you the album and the lantern. So let's get started. Alright, so I've got all my pieces cut out here for my butterfly lantern, the black piece and the 2 parts that make up the lantern, and then all of my vellum pieces here. First we're going to glue together the lantern, and I'm going to flip it over to do that, and I'm also going to glue its vellum right here and right here. Now this is the only vellum that gets glued to this. All the other vellum is going to get glued to the butterfly. So first I will just put a really thin little line around the outside, and I want to do my best to not get any glue. When I put the vellum down, I want the line to be really thin, because when I push it down I don't want glue to come and get in front of the little window, because you will be able to see it. It's not the end of the world, but I want to try to make it as nice as possible. Next I'm going to put glue on these 2 little tabs, and then I'm going to take the other piece of the lantern and put it right there. Next I'm going to put glue on this tab, and I'm going to fold it around to form the lantern shape. Now I'm just going to put glue on these 3 tabs and close her up. So how gorgeous is this paper? I just love it. The hot pink and the orange and the green are so pretty together, and I love the patterns that they chose on this. So I'll just flip it over and push down on the inside to help the glue really stick together. Okay, so there's the base of our lantern. Now I'm going to take my butterfly piece and I'm going to flip it over, because I'm going to start gluing my vellum on the inside. And I'm just going to make a tiny little line around on the inside and on the edge of the outside. And I want the line of glue to be nice and thin so that it doesn't get smushed outwards and get in the way of the vellum windows. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a thin little line. And I chose colors of vellum that coordinated more or less with my paper, which was a little risky because there's not that many colors like readily available at the store of vellum. But I got lucky and I got at least 3 colors that totally worked. So I'm just going to do the same thing with all this vellum, and I'm going to put the little pieces here and so on. So here's my final piece. All my vellum is on the back and it looks nice from the front. I noticed I do have a little bit of glue that came around that you can see from the front, so I'm just going to take my really thin little stylus and see if I can just kind of like scrape it off a little bit. If not, it's not a big deal, but I just thought I would try, and it is working, so that's cool. If you don't have a stylus, you could probably use a pin or like a paper clip or something. Now I'm going to take my butterfly and I'm going to fold it along this little score line. So I'm folding it in half, and I'm also going to take a stylus or some other like pen or pencil and just give these a little bit of a curl on the end, just on the end. And then I'm going to take glue and I'm going to put glue around the outside of these little windows so that I can put my butterfly right on the outside. So now that my glue is on there, I'm just going to carefully put my butterfly over the windows, and you can kind of hold it up to some light to make sure that you're putting it in the right place, if that helps. Now I'm just going to take this and push it down from the inside to make sure that the glue is holding it together nice. And this paper works out well because it's double-sided, so when you see the inside, it looks pretty too. So you definitely do not want to put a real candle inside here, obviously, because it's paper. So I have these cool little LED candles that I picked up at Michael's, and just one of them will totally work when it's a little darker. But I've just been putting 3 inside of these just to make it like really, really bright. But one would do. If you made a couple of these with 1 candle each, it would look really cool. So there you have it. It looks really cool. I love the effect of the different colors of vellum, how it coordinates with the paper. And you could definitely use these for just summer decorations or in a girl's room or on your patio. And like I said, just definitely do not put a real candle inside. And if you're going to have this around kids, make sure that they're not going to go sticking a real candle in there, because that would not be good. So here are all the pieces for my album. And I've already assembled some of these a little bit, like the letters, and I'm going to show you how to do the flower. And this is actually 3 layers of paper, just to make it a little thicker. And I'm going to put together this page. Now I've got the front of the page, and I've got the back of the page with the photo mat on it. But then in between, there are 2 other pieces of paper. And once I glue those all together, it's going to make it nice and sturdy, like I've already done with this one here. So I've already gone ahead and put together some of the pages on the inside, and then I will show you how the back goes together, which is pretty much the same deal. It's just 3 layers to make it a little sturdier. Alright, first I'm going to glue all of these together to make a nice sturdy page. So I'm going to start by just putting some glue, not too thick, not too thin, pretty close to the edge. When I put it together, I want it to have glue all the way to the edge, but I don't want the glue to be squeezing out of the sides, really. And I know some people use like bookbinding paste. I've never really worked with that before, but it seems like something that might be good for this. But I managed to do just fine with just regular old scrapbooking glue. And now the most important part here is just to line it up so that it's lined up, obviously. Just kind of scooch it around to make sure the corners are together. Look at it from both sides. And then just flatten it out. And if you want to set it underneath something heavy and flat to dry, like some heavy books, That would be cool. Maybe put some wax paper on top of it and then some heavy books to make sure that if there's any glue that comes out, the wax paper will make sure that it doesn't stick to your book. I actually just set my Cuttlebug down on top of it with the plates over it to dry. Just in case it wants to dry a little bit curved or something, that'll help. For the centers on these, I chose black because I thought black would be the least obtrusive with these, like this color palette. I think if I would have used white, it would have been, maybe you might have been able to see it a little bit more, I don't know. But no matter what, you could always ink the edges of your finished page anyway. So I guess it doesn't really matter what color the inside pages are. So I'm going to glue this final page on here, which is kind of a shame because both sides of this paper are so pretty. I really cringe at covering up any of it. But there we go. And this page has a flat poppy on it because a three-dimensional one would get squished inside the album. We're going to make a three-dimensional one here in just a few seconds. But there we go. And mine is not exactly perfectly lined up. It's the best I could do, which is just fine, because I'm going to take my black ink pad and I'm going to rub it around the edge. And that's going to hide some little imperfections. If I wanted to, I could also get out my sandpaper and rub some sandpaper around the edges to make it even smoother and more finished. So that looks pretty cool. So for the back page of my album, I cut out 4 layers. I've already glued together 2 of them. That's the back. It has 1 on it. And I picked this color paper because it's the same as this, but whatever works. So I'm just going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm just going to put glue around the whole thing. So I've got my glue on the whole piece, and it's a little more awkward than before because it's not only is it bigger, but it's kind of a wacky shape. But I just want to make sure that all the corners are lined up and just that all the edges are lined up. And if I notice that it's not, I'm going to pull it off real fast before it dries. But it looks good. You do just want to push down on it to like flatten out the glue. Because I've noticed before that if I don't, sometimes I can see little like squiggles where my glue squiggles are. So I'm just going to do the same thing with this final layer, and then my back cover will be all done. Okay, so all my glue is on, and I'm just going to do the same thing again and put it on carefully, line up all the corners. And I'm just looking on these little fine parts here where there are a lot of little corner details, and that's great. And again, I just love this paper, and it's so fun to work with because, like all awesome, collections of paper, no matter how you put things together, it all coordinates. So you can pretty much just go crazy and throw whatever you want together, and it's going to look awesome because it already coordinates. Okay, so there's my back cover. Very nice and sturdy too. And I am going to put all my pages here on, and I'm going to put it together with these handy dandy little rings, which we have them on pumpkincartcrafts.com, but I would imagine that you could also find them at Office Max, possibly, or somewhere like that. And I know some people have decorated these before with ribbons. I've done that before too. But for this, I'm going to just leave it plain for mine because I'm going to embellish on the front, and I want that to be like the focus of the front. Okay, so here is my album all together. Now I'm just going to glue this watering can like here. So I'm just going to put glue on just half of it. Okay, now I'm going to glue my bloom letters on here, but I think it would look better if it had a little dimension, so there's a little shadow behind it. So I want to use some three-dimensional Zots, but they're too big, so actually they like tear really easily. So I'm just going to tear a couple of them into like thirds or fourths and just put these little pieces of them on the back of my letters. So I've got all my little three-dimensional pop dots torn up here on the back. So I'm just going to flip it around, and I could put it on the side or on this side or right in the middle. Kind of feeling it a little on the left side. So there we go. And now I'm going to tie a cute little bow here on the side of this little watering can. And my ribbon has some wire in the edges of it, which makes it really easy to position the bow exactly how I want it, pretty much. So I thought this orange would look pretty cool. So there we go. And once I make my 3D poppy flower, I'm going to put that right in front of the bow. So since there's wire in the edges, I'm not going to cut it with my nice precision scissors. I'm going to use these more generic scissors that I have. And I'm going to cut it so that it's just a little bit longer than the outside of the bow. And I think it might look kind of cool if I like scrunch it up kind of weird. Next I'm going to make my three-dimensional poppy, and here are the 4 petals and here's the center part, and I'm going to put this button on the top. So I'm going to start by putting a little bit of glue right here and just folding it around, and I'm going to hold it while it dries, and I'm going to do that to all 4 petals. And I'm just going to do the same thing to the last 2 petals. And I really have to hold it while it dries because it wants to come apart. But luckily the glue dries pretty fast. Now I'm going to glue these 2 together. I'm going to put 1 dot of glue here and 1 here, and I'm going to glue them right there. And then I'm also going to do the same exact thing to the 2 smaller petals. Now I'm going to glue the 2 smaller petals together, except I'm just going to put 1 dot of glue right in the center. And then I'm going to hold it while it dries a little bit. Then I'm going to put this inside this. I could just glue it, but I'm going to use my pop dots just to add a little bit of dimension. And the pop dot's going to hold it all together. It's like one of the most sticky substances known to man, I think. So I will also put a pop dot under this middle piece, which goes right into the center. There we go. And then just to make it cute, I'm going to use a button in the center. I'm going to use another pop dot. And I'm not going to put any ribbon or twine in it. I'm just going to use a plain button just because I feel like it. And I'm going to put it right here in front of the little bow. Now just to make sure that it's a nice strong bond, I'm going to use another pop dot because they're super sticky, but I could also use hot glue. I think if I use regular glue over time it might just like snap off. So there we go. That is really cute. So here's the front of my album, and I was going to put the butterfly on the inside, but I think it would look really cute right here. So I'm going to glue the butterfly right there. And I just bent his wings up just a little bit, but then I'm gonna glue the flat part right to the front. So I love the way the front of it looks, and let's take a look at the inside. So my 4x6 photo is going to fit here perfectly, but I would glue the flower on after the picture, obviously. So this is a pretty little Art Nouveau style frame, and I just love this paper. It's awesome. And I could totally add more pages. I could add like double the number of pages and make such a cute gift for somebody. So like I said, while I was testing this out, I also cut it out of different paper just to make sure it would work before I showed you guys. And this is the DCWV paper called the Mariposa stack, and it's really cute with these little pictures. These are just real casual. I took them with my cell phone while my mom and I were out, and I think I'm going to make a couple more pages for it because I have a couple more pictures, and she's going to love it. I can't wait to give it to her. It's super cute. Alright, so that's it. There's all my projects, and thanks for watching. I hope you guys had fun, and if you decide to make any of this stuff, I would love to see it on our forum or on our Facebook wall or wherever. So thanks and happy crafting.